Hey everybody. Rick Shark, what up? Adrian, thanks for the welcome. Yeah, it's nice to be back. It really is. I'm just going to give it a few more moments before we really get started and let some people join in. Thank you. Yep, welcome back. I know it feels so great to be back. It's, to be honest, it's a little weird getting used to this time change, but it's just like any other change. It'll become natural. Just got to give it a couple of weeks. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Everybody else that joins in, they could just watch the beginning later if they're late. Welcome everybody that's here to this week's watchlist review session. Full disclaimer: this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This is just my game plan for the week. So if you like it, feel free to take notes. I'm going to be going over what I think are some sweet plays. Hopefully they pan out the way that we think they're going to pan out. If you've been following me for any amount of time, I want to say thank you. Thank you for bearing with me the past 2 weeks. I've been moving across the country. Most of you, I feel like, that have been following me kind of know that. The move was and is a success. Like I said earlier, I'm still just getting used to the time zone change, but I wanted to thank you for understanding that, I had to take some time off from trading and the internet while I got things set up at the new house, which is beautiful, by the way. If you're new here and you haven't been following me for a while, welcome in. Thank you for attending. In these sessions, we're going to be going over my entire day trading plan for tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about stocks that will be making my main chart watch list. I will be talking about stocks that deserve some other recognition. We'll call those side charts. And I'm going to talk about I'll be opening up the floor to you at the end of the stream to be able to review any stocks that you've previously done analysis on for yourself, right? So if you have anything that you have questions about, you could just type it up in the chat and we'll go over it then. So if you're ready to get started, press the like button for me, show me some love, and let's go. The first one on the watch list for tomorrow will be Tesla, TSLA. By the way, I do the majority of my analysis on the daily chart time frame, and then I'll work my way into the smaller time frames, but we always start on the daily because I want to see the bigger picture, right? What's going on in this bigger picture? So had a bit of like a triangle, a pennant pattern here, and then gaps down, and that started the break below this green dotted line. That's the 50 EMA. Was trying to validate the 650 area as a support, ultimately broke down below that, and is pulled all the way back down to this blue line that you see on my screen. That is the 200 EMA. This is a potential bounce position for Tesla, right? This is potential support. If I move this trend line that I have drawn right here, if I move this trend line up to the lows of the most recent bounce, it matches up pretty perfectly with this bit of consolidation following that run up, this dip right here, and then you see this dip again right here most recently. So what we are looking for is a reversal on this stock. It needs to reclaim 600. So right now it's pretty far off. I'm going to move to the 5-minute chart time frame. Okay, actually I lied. So it's not far off. It's close to 600 after hours, or was. We'll see where it opens up at. So yeah, it had closed around 590 or so, pressed up to pretty close to 600 after hours, and we'll see what it does in the morning. But as for our plan for tomorrow, we want to see it back over the $600 whole number. That's going to kind of give us that confirmation that A, it's bouncing off of this previous support point, which is shown here and here. B, it's potentially bouncing off of this support point being the 200 EMA. And C, it's reclaiming that whole number at 600 and is looking for the move back up to the top side. I think if it can reclaim 600, maybe push up through like 605 or 610, we have a price target of 620 to 625 in mind. That's going to be price target 1. Price target 2 is going to be up here around 650. All right, so price target 1, 625, above that 650. I really doubt that it makes a move all the way to 650 in one go, but this could be the start of something that is a multi-day reversal move if it validates here. Obviously, if it fails to reclaim 600, then we're not really interested in taking the play long. So something to understand about these stocks and this analysis that I'm giving you now. Look, it's just used as like guidance or reference points for now, and then you have to have that common sense basically to adjust these trigger levels in the morning. So I'm saying right now, yeah, it needs to get over 600, but what happens if it opens up above like 610? Then what? Well, you're not just going to take it long right at the open, right? That wouldn't make sense, because the extension of that move may mean that it's due for a pullback to test 600. So always do your own due diligence. Make sure that you're adjusting your trigger levels according to the pre-market movement. But as of right now, as it stands right now, we are looking for the break of 600 for the move up to probably 620, 625 area. All right, that's my plan on Tesla if we get that reversal. The second one on the main chart watch list is SNOW, S-N-O-W. S-N-O-W. So again, on the daily chart time frame, I'm just zooming in here so you can see what's going on. Strong downtrend. I'm going to draw a trend line across the tops of those candles, and that's going to indicate a line of resistance all the way down, right? Then we get a break of that resistance here on Friday. Nice big green candle on the move up. You can't really see the volume candles. There you go. So now you can see the volume candle. So nice volume here. Big move up, breaking the downward trend line, reclaiming this whole number at 200. And this stock has been beaten down pretty hard. So I think that if it can get over the 210 or 211 price point, actually 211, if it can get over 211 and continue this move up, we have a price target of 220 in mind. By the way, the reason that it's moving up, or the reason why it was moving up, was because it was recently upgraded, right? So this is just a simple continuation play. We're looking for nothing more here other than this to continue this momentum to the top side. Price target 220. Above that is going to be 230. I would take, if it pushes up to 230, I would definitely be looking to take profits in that area, because this 50 EMA, that green dotted line, has been treated as a resistance multiple times. So once there, once here, and if it pushes back up to 230 again, it's right below, it will be right below that resistance point. So we're looking at, price target 1 being 220, and then above that 230 area. SNOW. The third one on the main chart watch list for tomorrow is AAL. If you've been following me for some time, you've probably seen me mention this stock multiple times. And you probably already know what I'm about to say here. So AAL has been forming a range with support around $21 and resistance around $22. And we're just going to disregard the outlier data, right? So it's all of the majority of the price action is occurring within this range right here. So for the first time in a couple of weeks, we finally got a daily candle to close over top of the 22 level of resistance. And what I really like is that it's closed over the 22 level of resistance, but it's still below that wick right here where it had opened up and pushed up to the highs around 22.5 and then ultimately came right back down. So this looks solid here for a continuation play topside. We have a range break. We have a bounce off of the confirmation move off of the 50 EMA, right? It was trying to treat that level as a support this whole time. So we have a range break. We have a bounce off of the 50 EMA. We need this to hold 22 for this play to be relevant. If it fails to hold 22 as a support, it just means that it's not ready to break out yet, and it's trading back within this range. So look for a break of 22.5 tomorrow with a price target of 23 in mind. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're like, whoa, 22.5 to 23, Gates, that's only 50 cents. Yeah, but look at the profit margin there, 2%, right? A 2% move is all that you need to yield a decent return, especially if you're trading options, and especially if you're trading weekly options. 2% move is good, right? So price target of 23 in mind, long idea over 22.5, needs to hold 22 as a support to remain relevant. If this opens up below 22, I'm not even putting it on my watch list. I don't care what it does underneath 22, because it's back in this chop range. I'm trying to avoid all of this. As an options trader, we want the directional moves. So we need this to remain directional and not in this choppy mess down here. Okay, the next one on the main chart watch list, SQ. So this one kind of reminds me of the play on Tesla where it was moving up to the top side and then kind of got sold off here pretty aggressively and came back down to the 200 EMA. So there's a few things here that we need to pay attention to. Number one is that the line that it pulled back to, this area that it pulled back to, has been treated as a support quite a few times. You see it here, you see it there, there, and then most recently there. All right. The second thing that we want to note is that this line where we drew our support point happens to be the $200 whole number, right? The third thing to note is that this bounce, potential bounce, that the bounce that we're looking for, is occurring or could be occurring at the 200 EMA. So there's three reasons right there why this may have potential to reverse going into tomorrow's session. So for SQ, all that we're looking for is a move over $210 with a price target of 220 in mind, but it needs to stay over the $200 price point. And if you've noticed, I've only been giving long triggers on these stocks. Well, that's because I'm either they're already a bullish setup, or I'm looking for some sort of reversal because the stock is trading at a pivotal point. These can easily be short ideas too, right? I mean, these could not reverse and not continue and fall and come back down. And if that's the case, I'm not taking the trade. I'm only giving a scenario I'm only creating a game plan for a specific scenario. Meaning that if the scenario that I'm presenting now does not pan out, then I'm not going to take the trade. No harm, no foul. I mean, I've got no problem just sitting on my hands and watching the stocks come down. I mean, everybody loves cheap stocks anyway, so I've got no issue doing that. But this is only a plan for if the stocks move according to how I'm describing now. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay, and I'm going to talk about one more. I really like the setup on this one, but I don't know if it's going to make the main chart watch list or not. It's PLTR. I like the stock. I don't like the recent price action, but this has me really intrigued. So big sell-off, a lot of red days right here, breaking the 200 EMA, breaking this big support point right around $21, right? Moving down into earnings, and then you get a big bullish engulfing candle right there following earnings. But then the next 2 days, all it did was like sell right back off. but it got saved. So it's like, it's really hard to determine where this is going to go from here. And plus, you know, from a technical standpoint, this kind of looks like a bear pennant, right? But bear pennants can break out. Just because a pattern is bearish doesn't mean it has to break down, and just because a pattern is bullish doesn't mean it has to break out. So what I'm looking for on PLTR is I'm looking for a break over 20.5 for it to reclaim that 200 EMA and push to the top side. I don't know if I'm going to put this on my watch list for tomorrow, or if I just include it maybe as a side chart, you know, something to have an alert set on. It's going to depend on the opening price, but that was, I mean, this is really clean price action right here. Actually, the past few days has been pretty clean price action on PLTR. But yeah, so it needs to get over, actually, yeah, we'll play it safe. We're going to say a move over 20.5 with a price target of 21 in mind. That's going to give you right around 2.5% profit margin. If you're the trader that doesn't mind a little bit more risk and you want to take advantage of a little bit more profits, I think a trade over 20.2 would work. You know, rather than waiting on 20.5 to hit, because you'd be able to capitalize on 1.4% of profit, you know, profit margin there. So it's up to you. If you are the trader that wants extra confirmation or likes to have that extra confirmation, I would wait for a break over 20.5. Otherwise, a break over 20.2 could work. The reason why I think I'm going to wait, though, me personally, is because that 200 EMA, I mean, that's one of the strongest indicators in the game. So this is a likely level of resistance overhead. And if you're taking the trade long over 20.2, you know, you're basically limiting yourself on the profit margin because you know that 200 EMA is just overhead. So why limit yourself on a profit margin when you can just wait for confirmation? But, you know, hey, it's up to you. Whatever style of trader you are, you know, you make your own decisions. But I think I'm going to wait for a break over 20.5. We'll see what happens. We got to see where this opens up at. Ideally, I would love to see it open up just under 20.5. That way we can just take it long right over the resistance break and catch the run up to, you know, price target of 21 in mind. Okay, so we're going to talk about some side charts, and while I am doing that, feel free to post up in the chat section right here anything that you would want me to review or go over, and we'll talk about it. I just ask that you don't mention any penny stocks because they're typically, you know, they're kind of like pump and dumps, right? Not a lot of technical analysis to be done on those. All right, so the first one for the side chart watch list, and by the way, all of these side charts that I'm mentioning, they can easily make the main chart watch list too. It's just going to depend on where they open up at. So the first one is PLUG, plug power. This has a gap just overhead where, you know, right over where it's currently trading at. From 25.5 up to about 26.2 or so. This was a previous level of resistance in the past, so it's not just this gap area that's you know, rejecting it. I mean, it is truly a resistance point, and you know, I just want to see if we can get a gap fill here. So set your alerts at 20.5, even if this is not a play that pans out tomorrow or the next day or the next day. You know, maybe later in the week, Thursday or Friday, it's trading back up to this price point, and you'll remember when your alert goes off that, oh yeah, hey, there's a gap over 25.5, and this has potential to fill that gap up to 26 plus. So set your alerts there. The reason why this is a side chart is because you know, it still has a little bit of room to make up before it gets back up to that resistance. So we're looking at like almost a 4% move for it to recoup, which actually, I mean, that's not really that big of a move considering the true range of this stock. We're looking at 6 or 7% average daily. So it certainly has the potential tomorrow to get there. Either way, just set your alerts at 25.5. and when that alert goes off, you know that there's a potential gap fill play right in front of your face. The next one is Facebook. This was our big winner from Friday. Tough to say where it's going to go from here because it is making or has been making lower highs ever since filling this gap following earnings. So there's your high, your lower high. That's why this could potentially be another lower high, right? This could just be rejected right here and come down. I still want to keep an eye on it though because it did bounce off of the 50 EMA and it did bounce off of the $300 whole number. So there is potential for this to continue up. I have my alerts set at 317.5. You notice that that's also kind of the peak of this previous rally. So if it can get over that price point, I think we can see a move to 320 or 322 happen. But needs to get over 317.5. Definitely if it breaks over like 322, then it's no longer making lower highs, right? It would then be making higher highs, and it should really be on our radar at that point. But yep, 317.5 is where I have my first alert set. This one, like I said I've said it many times, but this one can definitely make the main chart watch list depending on where it opens up at. So /ES, which is the, this is the future that SPY follows. I mean, it's red at the moment, so there's a good chance that these stocks that pushed up like this open a little lower if ES remains red throughout the night, which would mean that this is not really pressing that resistance point, right? It would probably open up around like 313 or something. So if that's the case, just keep your alert set at 317.5, and we'll see what happens in the morning following the overnight moves. Boeing, BA. All right, this one has been making lower highs the whole way down, has broken below the 50 EMA, but it did look like it validated the 200 EMA as a support. So this is a case of where old resistance, I'm going to delete this line here. Old resistance here at 230 became new support there and new support there and support all throughout here, right? It was trying to validate 230 as a support, just couldn't do it. It just could not validate 230 as a support. So what it do instead, it gapped down and then validated the 200 EMA as a support. Well, now we have a minor gap over 230 up to like 232. I mean, it's fairly insignificant given the price of this stock. You're looking at like a 1% move for the gap fill. So, I'm not looking at this and saying, yeah, Boeing's got a fat gap overhead. That's a great play for your profit. The profit margin's really there. Let's take Boeing long over 230. That's not really what I'm saying. I want you to keep eyes on this because if it gets over 230, then that means it really is trying to validate the 200 EMA as a support. Where it will really have my interest is if it gets back over 235. So if it can reclaim that 50 EMA and start moving topside, well, then we may start to see something like this, where it's breaking this downward trend line, right? If it's breaking 235, this can get really interesting for this bounce move back up, right? So we may see like a recovery. I mean, not that dramatic, but you get the idea, right? So keep your alert set at 230. I have another alert set at 235. This actually is it's a potential trade over the $230 price point. Just know you're limited on profit margin to like 1%. And if that move happens on a Monday and you're trading weekly contracts, I think it's kind of doubtful that you're going to hit 20%, but you can try, right? If you're a scalp trader, this may be something that you're interested in. What else do we have? Oh, there's just one more, I think. JPM. Simple all-time high play. So let me back this up to the weekly chart, and I'm going to change my time frame to max available. So you can see this is the true all-time highs. Very, very easy analysis here. We're just looking for this to either make a new high or not. Actually, I don't even care if it doesn't make a new high. All that I'm looking for is for it to make a new high. So that's going to be a move over 165. That's why my alert's set right there. So if it breaks over 165, we have a potential long idea play to the top side into the all-time highs. One thing about JPM is just to note that it does kind of trade choppy. Actually, that was a solid move right there, but it does kind of trade choppy. So if you're entering into a position on this, just know what kind of personality the stock has. Right, every stock has its different personality, the way that it moves. So JPM is definitely one of those kind of slower, choppy movers, but it grinds up. So it may be one that you want to hold for a little bit longer than you normally would if you're trading, I don't know, something like Roku. All right, that's all that I have. So a quick review. The main chart watch list will be Tesla, Snow, AAL, SQ, and maybe PLTR. Maybe, depending on where it opens. Side charts will be PLUG, Facebook, Boeing, JPM, and all of those have potential to make the main chart watch list. All right, so thank you all for your time. Press the like button if this helped you out and has been helping you out. Let me get into your questions that you've been asking now. Somebody asked, where did I move? So I moved from San Diego back to the East Coast, well, close to the East Coast, to Tennessee. Why? Because it's cheaper. Better quality of life. Andrew said, thanks for doing this on Sundays. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I have to do it on Sundays regardless because I have to do my own analysis. And why not share what I'm doing, right? People love it. I think that I hear great feedback from these sessions all the time. I get direct messages all the time from people saying, hey, I made money off this play. Thanks for calling it out. And that's what it's about, right? So hopefully you guys will be able to, if you didn't learn anything, at least be able to follow a trade and make some money. Did I say a price target of 229? What? I'm not sure which stock you're referring to there, Azam. Rick's asking me, do I see any pattern on Tesla? So let's go to Tesla. I'm going to go to the daily chart time frame. I don't see any pattern here on Tesla. I see a double bottom right here where it tried to bounce. It's a bit of a stretch, but if you're trying to take those two bold lines into consideration for a pattern, maybe that's something that's shaping up. But I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. So the crazy thing about patterns is that they're subjective, right? They can be manipulated, especially if you're drawing the trend lines, they can be manipulated to look like something is breaking out, and when it's actually not. So you can have a bias when you're drawing patterns. So you've got to be super careful when you're making diagonal trend lines across your charts. That's why you see me try to keep, I try to keep these horizontal lines on as much as possible, because no matter what, I know that this support here at 550 area, that's not changing, right? That is there, and it's going to be there. But if I were to draw, a resistance like this, once this is broken, then it's no longer really a resistance, or maybe it is, Am I going to extend this across my whole chart and say that, maybe it's a support at some point? I don't know. But yeah, try to stick with those horizontal trend lines. Can I talk about Riot? Since Bitcoin is down, is it a possible short? Let's look. It's certainly falling. So one way to quickly gauge if a stock is in an uptrend or a downtrend is to use that 200 and that 50 EMA on the daily chart time frame. So this is your 50, this is your 200. And the way that it works is a stock trading over the 200 EMA is considered to be in an uptrend, which this is not, right? And a stock trading over the 50 and the 200 EMA is definitely considered to be an uptrend. in an uptrend. So let's just draw a line like that, right? Just kind of like trying to follow along this 50 EMA. Well, when it broke below the 50, what do we see it do? Pull right back to test that 50 as a resistance. So what was once support then became a resistance, and it's pulled all the way back down and below that 200 EMA. So for a day trade, I don't see anything here, because it could reclaim the 200 EMA and push up, but it could also reject. Now, if it rejected, you're asking about a short. If it rejected, the easy move would just be to short it below the lows, right? That's going to be right there around $20. I talk about whole numbers acting as natural points of support and resistance. I discussed that on SQ tonight with 200 being a potential support, and I talked about it on Tesla tonight with 600 being a potential resistance. That when you're talking about whole numbers, you're usually talking about 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, etc., all the way up. But if the stock is below $50, well, what's your whole number? It's every $10, right? $10, $20, $30, etc. So if you got a break below the $20 price point, you would not only have a new low being made, but you would have a rejection at the 200 EMA, and you would have a break below a whole number. That would be 3 reasons to take the stock short below the $20 price point. But because it's trading up here at 26, I can't say, yeah, tomorrow it looks great for a trade short at below 20. So that's why I said I don't see a trade here right now, but I do agree that it's weak, right? It's falling. It may actually be a little overdone at this point, because let's look at the RSI here. So this is the RSI indicator, right? And that's showing you there that it's oversold at this point. So you may see a little bit of a bounce, and this could be a case of where this old support here at 35 then becomes new resistance. So it may do something like this, where it pushes up, tests 35 as a resistance, and then comes down. A few different ways to trade it. It's going to depend on what it does. I wouldn't be long on the stock, but I wouldn't be necessarily short on it right here either. It's kind of at a midway point. Let's talk about DKNG. Frank's asking about that. You're saying 45 is a potential reversal as it's holding 40 for support. Yeah, so this is a play that's known as a dead cat bounce. I just typed it up in chat. So if you don't know what that is, do a quick Google search after this session and educate yourself some. So a dead cat bounce, you're basically looking at a stock that's like dramatically oversold, something like DKNG, right? Where it dropped below the support point and just fell, hit earnings, and kept falling. And then you see this RSI, it's like oversold. And now it's finally found some sort of support. That's going to be around $40 to $42, right? This is going to be your support area. If I can get my line drawn, there we go. So that's going to be your support area. So what Frank is saying is that this has found support, or potentially found support right here, and is trading near resistance around 45. 45. I have an alert set at 46 just to be safe. 45.5 area. Is there a potential reversal here? Yes, there is, because there's a lot of room for this to make up. So one thing that this was a question that I answered earlier in the Higher Spartan program. Somebody asked me, do I ever short? And if I do, what am I trading? And my answer was, I short. If I ever am short on a stock, it's usually SPY, right? If I'm short on anything, it's usually SPY. And the reason why is because you'll get dramatic sell-offs like this occurring when there's some sort of catalyst, like a news catalyst. In this case, DKNG had earnings, right? That's going to be your news catalyst. So oftentimes, a move like this doesn't happen without some sort of retracement. That doesn't mean the stock is reversing full time and is bullish. It just means that there's some sort of relief on the selling pressure. So this move occurring down can be relieved by some sort of move happening and occurring and moving back up to the top side. So there's two ways to trade it. You can either do what Frank's talking about and try to take it long over the resistance point for that dead cat bounce and that temporary bounce to the top side, or you can remain patient, let it complete its rally, and then short that rally back down for the move. And so that's the move that I look for right here on SPY. That's the leg of the move that I look for if I'm ever short on anything. Well, I won't say ever short on anything, but if I'm short on something, it's typically SPY, and that's typically the scenario that I'm looking for. But yeah, multiple ways to play this setup, so it's up to you. I would be cautious. I mean, I guess as a day trader, it doesn't really matter, right? Like you could say, yeah, I don't care if the company's going bankrupt. If it's moving up, I'm trading it. And that's one way to look at it. I would just be careful that the trend is your friend. So I've noticed that the majority of stocks from my analysis that actually hit and follow the plan that I've devised, they occur when I'm trying to trade with the overall trend. So unless I have a good reason for a reversal, right? And those reasons I mentioned tonight on SQ and Tesla, I mean, we had 3 reasons each why those could potentially reverse. But typically, I'm looking for something that's, if it's on the way up, I want to be trading with it on the way up. It just increases your chances of being correct on the trade. So even if you get a bad entry intraday, by the end of the day, you could still be profitable. Disney. I see 2 people asking for Disney. Ryan's asking for it. Frank mentioned it. Let's talk about Disney then. DIS. Okay, big doji candle here. On very large volume there as it sold off. Let me look at that move intraday. It's not as significant as I thought it would be. Yeah, I mean, you almost have like a gap fill right here. So this is a gap, right? And this actually could have been traded on Friday into the gap. So you have a sell-off following earnings, and then the opening price was, okay, so it actually opened up right there. All right, so that would be where you draw your resistance. I mean, it would make sense, right? Pre-market high, there's your little rally. Look for a long position over 173. This could have been traded up to, right? This is your gap area up to 170. I wouldn't have said one. I don't think I would have said 180. 176 following that dip. That would have been your resistance. So let's see where this topped out at, 175. So you have a $1 profit margin there to the top side if it were to continue. But, I mean, it looks good. It looks good because it got saved, right? It didn't, like, report earnings and then just totally drop. Like, this got bought back up pretty quickly. There is a gap area. It's very, very small and minor, over 175 to 176. But if it breaks over that price point, there's potential for it to run to probably 178 or 179. Yeah, so it needs to clear 175. Otherwise, if it breaks below 170, I mean, you just look to short it back down to that 200 EMA. Break below 170 for a move down to like 165 area. And then, look, back here, you've got another gap for it to fill. Another potential gap. Down at that. And look, I have alerts set at 160. See, we're already all over this analysis. Let's see, who's wanting to talk about AMC? Okay, Philip's asking about AMC. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Thanks for bringing this up. AMC has recently broken out of like a massive bull pennant pattern, right? So this is you remember that move, right? Whenever like every brokerage was glitching and nobody could sell for like, I don't know, 3 hours into the trading session. Yeah, so this was your big sell-off and then the recovery move, and since then it's been making lower highs and higher lows all coming together at a point, and then you get, bam, big breakout move over the top side of this resistance. So it's no longer making lower highs. This is your first higher high. So the lower highs are no more, the higher highs are here. I don't see a trade on AMC yet because oftentimes breakout moves like this can retrace or will retrace to test that old support as new resistance. So it would be just like if we got a breakout move over this level and then it pulled back to test it as support and then we get a new high. That's what we're looking for here on AMC, but we're just looking for it to pull back to a dynamic level of resistance. So it did push up. It made sense it would reject right there. Why? Because that's this high, right? That's this peak at 14.5. Pushed up 14.5, rejected. It may still have room to come back down. I would be surprised to see it break below $12, I think, or 11.5. You want to really see it hold 12 as a support because that's this peak right here. So you want to see it hold 12 as a support and then push back up to rally to break this 14.5 and then make a new high. Over this price point, it gets really interesting because there's not a lot of resistance from there to like $16 or $17. And then above that, you have room up to 20. So keep an eye on that one. My alerts are set at 14.5. Thanks for bringing that up. Zoom, I'm not a fan of the option chain. I'll just tell you that right now. So if you're trading options on Zoom, you need to watch that spread. You need to watch the open interest. I looked at this one earlier. It is holding 300 as a support, or rather has reclaimed it, not really holding it as a support. It kind of held like 280, 290 as a support. But it has reclaimed 300, so certainly there's a continuation play possible over 310. Price target of probably 320 in mind. Watch out for that 50 EMA, right? That's going to be your resistance point overhead. It needs to continue to hold 300 though. To be honest, I'm not really a big fan of Zoom. Just because it was like super overbought and overpriced during the whole COVID period. I understand it. Everybody was using it, but I think it's still correcting from that time frame. And since then, it's just been making these overall lower highs and lower lows, channeling all the way down. Could it reverse at some point? Sure. And if that happens, you might see a move at earnings for that reversal. I think there are better stocks to trade than the setup being presented here, though. That's just my honest opinion. Yeah, Paul, so we already talked about Facebook. If you missed that part of the stream, just rewatch the stream once we end. It'll be available to you for the next 24 hours. Straight off the... it's actually on the side chart watch list, but that was our big winner on Friday. Am I live trading tomorrow? No, I'm not. I'm actually not live trading. Well, first of all, I don't live trade on Mondays, right? Because I like to see what the market sentiment is going to be for the week, right? So I want to see where traders are positioning themselves. I want to see which sectors are moving, which sectors are not moving. So Mondays are a little tricky to do live trading. But we typically do live trading Tuesdays and Thursdays. However, this week, with me taking the past week off, I want to really get my focus back honed in on the price action, and then we'll resume live trading the following week. So part of the deal with me live trading the entire week before my move was that when I returned, I would need a little bit of time to settle in. So don't worry, it's not going away. It's just this week, I want to be able to focus in on the charts, and the text alerts will still be there though. I would definitely be giving those out. Chris is asking about Walmart. And that's good that you're asking about it because they have earnings this week. So I kind of forgot to mention that. Walmart has earnings on the 18th along with HD, Home Depot. Right, that's on the 18th. And Target, that's on the, what day is that? The 19th. And then Lowe's also. So you're seeing a lot of retail stocks having earnings this week. So Chris, to answer your question, I know you want me to break down Walmart. There's just no point in doing any type of technical analysis on this because fundamentals will always take precedence over technicals. So, even if this was like an A+++ bull flag setup, it wouldn't matter if the earnings report is negative. You know what I mean? So, because the stock price could fall and that bull flag wouldn't mean anything if that news is negative. So I refrain from doing technical analysis on stocks that have earnings the week of. Plus, it's chopping around. I mean, it's just trying to validate the 200 EMA as support. You see, like here, I'll draw a range for you. There's your price action range right there between like 138 and 142. Very choppy in that area, and it's literally trading like right in the middle of the range. So like if it were trading up here, I might say, well, yeah, there's still a gap for it to fill overhead. Or if it were trading down here, I would say, yeah, it's breaking the 200 EMA. It may be ready to continue down. But it's literally right in the middle. So like even if this didn't have earnings this week, I still wouldn't see any trade here for tomorrow. All right, let's do one more, and I will call it an evening, and we will get to trading tomorrow, man. I'm so excited to get back to a full week of work with you guys. So Frank mentioned Snapchat, long idea over 53.5. Yeah, this one. So you're going to see, like, the theme of this week is bottom bounce plays. You're going to see this set up a lot. A stock that is pushed up and then retraced, usually close to or near some support point or the 50 EMA, or the 200 EMA, rather, and has started to consolidate and looking for a rebound. We see this setup, like if you just go through charts, you're going to see this setup all over the place. This is going to be something that I think really depends on where the overall market moves. So if we have, like an overall green day, a lot of these stocks may have potential to break out and recover. If we have an overall red day, they may just pull right back down to whatever that support point is, the low of the support point that it's been trading at. But to answer your question, you're saying a long idea over 53.5. Let's move to the 5 minute. Yeah, I mean, it looks good, Frank. 53.5, that's going to be your resistance here and here. Your support is going to be right around, 50.5 or so. And then there's your potential for the move up. Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for bearing with me during my time off. We're back at it now, though. Full throttle. Let's go. Let's make some money tomorrow. I will have the updated trigger levels posted on the watch list in the morning, and I'll see you all in chat. Take care.